Jennifer's excitement for the impending family trip to Martinique Island bubbled within her. The promise of sandy beaches and tropical adventures overshadowed the fatigue from her recent 5-month journey away from home. With each passing mile on the way to her in-laws' house, her anticipation soared. Entering the warm embrace of her mother-in-law's home, Jennifer was met with an unusual solemnity. The air, thick with tension, hinted at something amiss. As she settled into the living room, her mother-in-law, Mrs. Reynolds, entered with an oddly composed expression. "Jennifer, there's something we need to discuss," Mrs. Reynolds began, her eyes avoiding direct contact. Perplexed, Jennifer responded, "What's going on, Mrs. Reynolds?" "Is everything okay?" Her mother-in-law hesitated before blurting out, "We need to talk about your passport." Confused, Jennifer's gaze shifted from Mrs. Reynolds to her husband, Corey, who had been unusually quiet since her arrival. "My passport? What's wrong with it?" Without uttering a word, Mrs. Reynolds reached into her bag and pulled out a document. Jennifer's eyes widened in disbelief as she recognized the green cover, her passport. The document was crumpled, and the edges showed signs of recent fire. "What have you done?" Jennifer exclaimed, her voice a mix of shock and anger. Mrs. Reynolds hesitated before offering a strained explanation. I thought it was mine. I made a mistake. It's ruined." Jennifer's husband, Corey, finally spoke up, his tone indifferent. "Mom, how could you be so careless? We were supposed to leave soon." Staring at the remnants of her passport, Jennifer felt a surge of frustration. "Careless? This isn't about carelessness, Corey. This is deliberate." Mrs. Reynolds, now visibly nervous, stammered, "I didn't mean to. I thought it was mine. It was a mistake." Jennifer's mind raced, attempting to comprehend the gravity of the situation. "A mistake that conveniently ruins my chance to go on the trip." Corey interjected, "Look, Jennifer, it's not like that. We'll figure something out." The unexpected flames of betrayal flickered in Jennifer's eyes. Little did she know, this incident was the spark that would ignite a series of events leading to the unraveling of her seemingly perfect life. Jennifer's excitement for the family trip had been extinguished, replaced by a simmering resentment stemming from the passport incident. Despite the emotional turbulence, she pushed forward, eager to reunite with her husband, Corey, who she had missed intensely during her 5-month absence. As she arrived home after her extended trip, the weariness from the journey was overshadowed by the anticipation of being in Corey's arms. However, reality painted a different picture. The door creaked open, and Jennifer's eyes met Corey's, expecting a warm and enthusiastic welcome. Instead, she was greeted with a nonchalant glance and a lackluster "Hey, Jennifer." A pang of disappointment stabbed at her. "Hey, that's it?" she retorted, her voice carrying a mix of frustration and hurt. Corey, seemingly unmoved, shrugged. "We've been apart like this before. I'm used to it." Jennifer's eyes narrowed. "But it's been 5 months. Can't you at least pretend you missed me?" Corey, engrossed in checking his phone, replied casually, Yeah, I missed you. Anyway, is dinner ready?" Stifling her disappointment, Jennifer managed, "It's been months, Corey." I expected more than a casual acknowledgement. As they sat down for dinner, the atmosphere felt strained. Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted in their relationship. Determined to salvage the moment, she offered a forced smile. "Well, at least let's enjoy this meal together." Corey, still fixated on his phone, mumbled, "Yeah, sure." Jennifer's attempt to create a semblance of normalcy only accentuated the growing distance between them. The long-awaited reunion felt hollow, leaving Jennifer questioning the strength of their connection. Later, as she started cleaning, A routine that usually sparked arguments. She reflected on the changed dynamics. When Corey finally arrived in the kitchen, Jennifer couldn't hold back her frustration. "Corey, can't you put that phone away for a moment and talk to me? We haven't seen each other for months." Looking up from his device, Corey sighed. "We've been communicating through calls and emails all this time, haven't we?" Jennifer's tone grew sharper. "That's not the same, and you know it. Can't you at least acknowledge that I'm back? That I made an effort to come home early?" With a dismissive wave, Corey replied, Right. I'm just tired. Anyway, is dinner ready?" The long-awaited reunion, far from the joyous occasion Jennifer had envisioned, left her grappling with a growing sense of disconnection and the realization that their relationship might not be as solid as she once believed. Jennifer's homecoming had turned into a disheartening encounter with Corey's distant behavior. As she navigated the strains in their relationship, an unsettling revelation awaited her: the unveiling of a devious plan orchestrated by her mother-in-law, Mrs. Reynolds, and her seemingly indifferent husband, Corey. The next day, Jennifer was called into the living room where Mrs. Reynolds and Corey awaited her. Their expressions were shrouded in an unusual seriousness that deepened Jennifer's growing sense of unease. Mrs. Reynolds spoke first, her words laced with feigned concern. "Jennifer, Corey, and I were discussing the family trip, and we've come to a decision." Jennifer, guarded but curious, replied, "What decision?" With a fox smile, Corey chimed in, "We thought it would be great if you handle all the arrangements for our trip to Martinique Island. You're good at that sort of thing, right?" Jennifer's instincts screamed caution. "Why can't we all plan it together? I want to be a part of the preparations." Mrs. Reynolds, avoiding eye contact, insisted, "Oh dear, we just thought it would be less stressful for you." "Corey has a point. You have a knack for these things." Uneasy, Jennifer reluctantly agreed, unaware that she was stepping into a carefully laid trap. Over the next few days, Jennifer dedicated herself to organizing the trip, blissfully unaware of the sinister motives behind the Sutton delegation. Late one evening, as she was immersed in booking flights and accommodations, Mrs. Reynolds approached her with a thinly veiled smile. "Jennifer, dear, I hope you're finding everything manageable. Corey has been looking forward to this trip for so long." Jennifer, engrossed in her task, nodded absent-mindedly. "Yes, it's coming along well. I just want it to be perfect for all of us." Mrs. Reynolds, her smile growing more malevolent, added, "You're doing such a fantastic job. Corey is lucky to have you taking care of everything. It's a relief for us." Jennifer, sensing an underlying tone, questioned, "What do you mean, a relief?" With a feigned innocence, Mrs. Reynolds replied, "Oh, nothing, dear. Just that you're making everything so much easier. We appreciate it." Little did Jennifer know that her efforts were being exploited in a deceitful game, and the true intentions behind the trip were far more sinister than she could have imagined. As the pieces of the puzzle slowly fell into place, the web of betrayal tightened around Jennifer, leaving her ensnared in a trap of her own unwitting making. Jennifer's meticulous planning for the family trip continued, oblivious to the underlying deception orchestrated by her husband, Corey, and mother-in-law, Mrs. Reynolds. Little did she know that her actual passport was still intact, and a cruel twist of fate awaited the unsuspecting trio. As Jennifer sifted through travel itineraries, Corey and Mrs. Reynolds exchanged furtive glances. The tension in the room thickened, and Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. In the midst of her arrangements, Mrs. Reynolds entered the room, holding what appeared to be Jennifer's passport. "Jennifer, dear, I found this in the living room. You should be more careful with your important documents." Jennifer, surprised and grateful, reached for the passport. "Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. I must have left it there in a hurry. I appreciate you finding it. Mrs. Reynolds, her expression carefully neutral, nodded. "No problem, dear. Just be more mindful. We wouldn't want anything to go wrong before our trip." Unbeknownst to Jennifer, the passport Mrs. Reynolds handed her was actually Corey's. The deceptive switch had taken place while Jennifer was engrossed in her travel arrangements. The next day, as the family gathered for the trip's departure, Jennifer, unknowingly carrying Corey's passport, was met with an unusual enthusiasm from her husband. "This is it, Jennifer. We're finally going on our dream trip." As they approached the airport, Mrs. Reynolds couldn't contain her wicked smile. "Jennifer, darling, why don't you get our passports out?" "Corey, make sure everything is in order." Jennifer obediently reached into her bag, only to discover Corey's passport. Panic set in as she stared at the document in disbelief. This isn't my passport. Where's mine?" Mrs. Reynolds feigned surprise. "Oh my, how did Corey's passport get in there? That must have been a mistake." Corey, suppressing a smirk, added, "Seriously, Jennifer, how could you mess up something as simple as bringing the right passport?" Jennifer, flustered and bewildered, defended herself. "I don't understand. I had it yesterday. Mrs. Reynolds gave it back to me." Mrs. Reynolds, her tone now mocking, remarked, "Oh dear, it seems there was a mix-up. We'll have to sort this out." The truth slowly dawned on Jennifer. She clutched Corey's passport, realizing the cruel twist of fate that had transpired. "You did this. You switched the passports." Corey, maintaining a facade of innocence, retorted, "Come on, Jennifer. Don't be dramatic. We need to figure this out or we'll miss our flight." As Jennifer grappled with the reality of her husband and mother-in-law's deceit, the flames of betrayal flickered ever brighter, casting dark shadows over what was supposed to be a dream family vacation. Jennifer's realization of the switched passports sent shockwaves through her as the carefully orchestrated deception by Corey and Mrs. Reynolds unraveled. As they stood at the airport, the dream family vacation morphed into a nightmare of betrayal and deceit. Amid the chaos, Jennifer confronted Corey, her voice tinged with a mix of anger and hurt. "How could you do this? Switching the passports and blaming me for your deceit." Corey, feigning innocence, replied, "Jennifer, it was a simple mistake. I didn't switch anything. Let's not make a scene here." Mrs. Reynolds, watching the drama unfold with a sinister satisfaction, interjected, "Enough, both of you. We're causing a scene. Jennifer, we need to find a solution. Corey, get a grip on yourself." The trio approached the airline counter to address the passport predicament. The airline staff, indifferent to their family drama, explained the severity of the situation. "Without proper identification, you won't be able to board the flight. We suggest you sort this out before the departure time." Jennifer, struggling to keep her composure, snapped at Corey, "Well, what's your brilliant plan now?" Corey, his frustration thinly veiled, retorted, "I don't know, Jennifer. This is your fault. If you hadn't lost your passport, we wouldn't be in this mess." Mrs. Reynolds, seizing the opportunity to play the victim, chimed in, "Corey's right, Jennifer. You need to figure this out. We can't let our dream trip be ruined because of your carelessness." Feeling cornered, Jennifer took a deep breath, determined to navigate through the chaos. "Fine, we'll sort this out. But remember, I had my passport. Someone deliberately switched it." Corey, maintaining his facade, muttered, "Whatever, Jennifer. Let's just find a solution and salvage what we can of this trip." As they scrambled to resolve the passport dilemma, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that her marriage had taken a catastrophic turn. The trust that once held their relationship together now lay shattered at their feet. The family trip, envisioned as a joyous occasion, crumbled before their eyes, leaving behind a trail of broken promises and a future marred by the consequences of betrayal. The airport debacle marked the turning point for Jennifer. The shattered trust and undeniable betrayal fueled her determination to break free from the web of deceit that had entangled her marriage. As they returned home, Jennifer knew a difficult decision awaited her. The atmosphere in the car was heavy with tension. Jennifer's gaze alternated between the road and Corey, who seemed oblivious to the gravity of the situation. The air was thick with unspoken words until Jennifer finally broke the silence, her voice firm. "We need to talk, Corey." Corey, still unwilling to acknowledge the severity of their actions, replied nonchalantly, "Talk about what? It was just a mix-up at the airport. These things happen." Jennifer, her patience waning, shot back, "This was not a mix-up, Corey. This was deliberate. You and your mother conspired to ruin our trip, and I won't stand for it." Corey, caught off guard by Jennifer's assertiveness, stammered, "I don't know what you're talking about. It was a mistake." The car pulled into the driveway, and Jennifer turned to face Corey, her eyes filled with determination. "Corey, this goes beyond a ruined trip. Our marriage is in shambles. I can't stay in a relationship built on lies and deceit." Corey, realizing the gravity of Jennifer's words, attempted to downplay the situation. "Come on, Jennifer. Don't be dramatic. We can work through this." But Jennifer had reached a breaking point. "No, Corey. I can't continue like this. I deserve honesty and respect in my marriage. I'm filing for divorce." Corey's dismissive demeanor shifted to one of shock. "Divorce? Are you serious? Over a stupid trip?" Jennifer, unwavering, replied, "It's not just about the trip, Corey. It's about the lack of trust, the lies, and the disrespect. I can't be in a marriage where I'm treated like this." The realization hit Corey, and he attempted to salvage the situation. "Jennifer, we can go to therapy. We can fix this. Don't make a hasty decision." But Jennifer, resolute in her choice, responded, "Corey, this wasn't hasty. It's been a long time coming. I deserve better, and I won't let myself be trapped in a marriage where I'm constantly deceived." As Jennifer entered the house, leaving Corey standing in the driveway, the weight of her decision settled on her shoulders. The journey to reclaim her life had just begun, and despite the pain, Jennifer felt a glimmer of liberation, a step toward a future free from the deceit that had poisoned her marriage. Jennifer's decision to end her marriage with Corey marked the beginning of a challenging journey toward independence. As the divorce proceedings unfolded, Jennifer faced the daunting task of securing her financial future, leading her to the decision to demand alimony. The lawyer's office became a battleground for Jennifer as she confronted Corey and his legal representation. Sitting across the table, Jennifer's lawyer initiated the discussion. "We're here to discuss the matter of alimony. Jennifer believes it's fair given the circumstances." Corey, attempting to maintain a composed front, retorted, "Alimony? What for? We both have jobs. Jennifer can support herself." Jennifer, determined and unwavering, responded, "Corey, you and your mother deliberately sabotage our marriage. I've been left to pick up the pieces. Alimony is a reasonable request for the emotional and financial toll your actions have taken on my life." Corey, trying to deflect blame, argued, "This isn't solely my fault. You're overreacting. We could have worked through this without dragging it to court." Jennifer, her patience waning, countered, "Corey, we wouldn't be here if you hadn't orchestrated that deceitful plan. I won't let you minimize the impact of your actions on my life." The negotiation continued, with Jennifer presenting a compelling case for alimony, highlighting the sacrifices she made for the marriage and the career setbacks caused by the tumultuous events. Corey, increasingly frustrated, couldn't deny the weight of Jennifer's arguments. As the meeting concluded, Jennifer's lawyer summed up the discussion. "We'll proceed with the alimony claim. We believe it's a fair request given the circumstances." Corey, realizing the consequences of his actions, muttered, "Fine. Just get this over with." Jennifer, maintaining her composure, affirmed, "This is just the beginning, Corey. I won't let your deceit define my future." Exiting the lawyer's office, Jennifer felt a mix of relief and determination. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was resolute in her pursuit of a life free from the shadows of betrayal. The demand for alimony was not just a financial necessity, but a symbolic step toward reclaiming her independence and rebuilding a life that had been fractured by the calculated actions of those she once trusted. As the divorce proceedings unfolded, Jennifer found herself on a journey of rediscovering her independence. Breaking free from the toxic ties that bound her to Corey and Mrs. Reynolds, she embarked on a path of self-discovery, determined to build a life on her terms. With the divorce finalized, Jennifer moved into a modest condo, a space that symbolized her newfound freedom. The walls echoed with the silence of solitude, a welcome change from the oppressive atmosphere she had endured in her previous home. Embracing the solitude, Jennifer reflected on her past and the resilience that had led her to this moment. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts, and as she opened it, a delivery person handed her a bouquet of flowers. A card accompanied the vibrant arrangement, reading, "Wishing you a new beginning. Your true friends." Touched by the unexpected gesture, Jennifer felt a surge of gratitude. The support from friends who saw her struggle and triumphed over betrayal provided a glimmer of hope. In the days that followed, Jennifer immersed herself in activities she had long neglected. Pursuing her passion for languages, she enrolled in a local language class, connecting with a community that shared her interests. Each lesson became a step toward rebuilding the aspects of her life that had been overshadowed by the tumultuous events. One evening, as Jennifer sat on her balcony, sipping tea and enjoying the view, her phone buzzed with a message. It was a friend checking in. "How are you holding up, Jennifer?" Responding with a grateful smile, she replied, "Taking it one day at a time. But I'm finding strength in rediscovering who I am outside of that toxic relationship." Encouraged by her friend's support, Jennifer's journey toward independence gained momentum. She delved into activities that brought her joy and reconnected with aspects of herself that had been overshadowed by the challenges of her marriage. A few weeks later, as Jennifer attended a language and culture event, she struck up a conversation with a fellow enthusiast. Sharing stories of her travels and experiences, Jennifer felt a renewed sense of purpose. The scars of betrayal were healing, and in their place, a resilient spirit emerged. The chapter of independence rediscovered was not without its challenges, but Jennifer embraced the opportunity to shape her destiny. Each day became a canvas on which she painted the vibrant hues of her new life, free from the shadows of deceit and the chains of a fractured marriage. Jennifer's journey reached its zenith as she ventured into a life beyond the web of deceit that had ensnared her. In this final chapter of her story, she navigated the complexities of healing, growth, and embracing a future unrestrained by the shadows of her past. One evening, Jennifer attended a support group for individuals who had faced betrayal and deceit in their marriages. The room resonated with shared experiences, each narrative a testament to the strength required to transcend the pain of broken trust. As Jennifer shared her story, she felt a collective empathy, a shared understanding that united the group in their quest for healing. After the meeting, a fellow participant approached Jennifer, offering a warm smile. "Your story resonated with me. It takes strength to emerge from such deception." Jennifer, grateful for the connection, replied, "Thank you. It's a journey, and I'm learning to embrace it. How about you? What brings you to the group?" The woman shared her own tale of resilience, and as they exchanged stories, a camaraderie formed, an understanding that transcended the confines of betrayal. In the days that followed, Jennifer continued to rebuild her life, focusing on her career and personal growth. She found solace in the simple joys of everyday moments: a cup of coffee on the balcony, the pages of a captivating book, and the laughter shared with newfound friends. One afternoon, Jennifer received an unexpected call. It was her ex-husband, Corey. Hesitant but curious, she answered, "What do you want, Corey?" Corey, a hint of remorse in his voice, responded, "Jennifer, I've been reflecting on everything, and I realize the pain I've caused. I just want you to know that I'm sorry." Jennifer, now grounded in her newfound strength, replied, "Apologies won't undo the past, Corey. I've moved beyond the deceit, and I'm focused on building a future that doesn't involve you." The conversation marked a turning point for Jennifer, a closure that allowed her to fully embrace the path ahead. As she hung up the phone, she felt a renewed sense of empowerment, recognizing that her worth was not defined by the actions of those who had deceived her. In the closing scenes of her story, Jennifer stood on the balcony of her condo overlooking the city lights. The night sky symbolized the vastness of possibilities that awaited her beyond the shadows of deceit. With each breath, she embraced the freedom to shape her destiny, resilient and untethered from the chains of betrayal. Jennifer's narrative, one of pain, growth, and resilience, unfolded as a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome deceit and emerge stronger on the other side. The final chapter was not just an ending, but a beginning, a journey beyond deceit toward a future defined by authenticity, self-discovery, and the boundless potential of a life reclaimed.